John sat on the cold floor of the alien ship. His hands were tied behind his back with glowing blue ropes. His face was tired, but his eyes were calm. He didn't scream. He didn't beg. He just waited. Around him stood tall aliens with smooth skin and sharp eyes. They wore shiny robes and spoke in a strange, high-pitched language. Most of them laughed when they looked at him. One alien girl walked forward. She looked young, but had a proud, arrogant face. Her skin was silver with a hint of purple. Her long, white hair flowed behind her like silk. Her name was Karela, the daughter of the alien commander. She stepped close to John, looked at him from head to toe, and smirked. "So this is the human?" she said, speaking in galactic English. "You look weak." Bent down and poked his arm with her long, sharp finger. "Poke. You don't speak?" She teased. "Are you afraid?" John looked up slowly. His voice was low and calm. "Don't poke me again." Karela raised her eyebrows. She smiled as if his words were a joke. She turned to the other aliens and laughed. "This one thinks he can order me." The others joined her laughter. They saw John as a joke a weak, soft creature from a dying planet. Karela turned back and poked him again. Poked this time harder. Right on his shoulder, John's jaw tightened. His hands were still tied, but his body grew tense. Karela leaned closer. Her voice became soft but cruel. "You humans are nothing. Your world is lost. Should be lucky we didn't just kill you." John looked straight into her glowing purple eyes. "I told you, don't poke me again." Karela blinked. For a moment, she felt something strange in his voice. It was calm. It was dangerous, like a volcano that looked quiet. Could explode any time. She smiled again and stepped back, but not for long. The next day, they brought John into the alien court. Hundreds of aliens sat around a large, round hall. Karela stood in the middle, dressed in golden armor. She was going to show off her new toy, the human. John was forced to his knees in front of everyone. He still didn't cry or show. Fear, Karela walked around him like a cat circling a mouse. "You all see this human?" she said to the crowd. "He is soft, weak, simple, but he thinks he can talk back. He even warned me." The crowd laughed. Karela turned to him and said loudly, "Let's see what you do now." She stepped forward and poked him again. Poked. The hall fell silent. John didn't move for a second. Then he moved fast. He leaned forward, caught her hand in his teeth and bit her hard. Karela screamed not just from pain, but from shock. No one had ever dared to touch her like that, especially not a human. The guards rushed forward, but John had already let go and sat still again, as if nothing had happened. Karela stared at her hand. There were small marks, human teeth marks, but her body was shaking, not from fear, but something else. The crowd didn't laugh now. They were stunned, silent. Some looked angry. Others looked confused. The alien commander stood up, his face full of rage. "What have you done, human?" John raised his head slowly. "I warned her." Karela sat on a soft chair in the healing room, but her body was not calm. She stared at the bite mark on her hand. It was small. No blood, just red skin, but her fingers trembled. Her heart beat faster than usual, and her skin felt hot, too hot. A bite. From a human? How could this happen? Alien healers surrounded her. They scanned her hand with glowing tools. "It's just a bite," one healer said. "It didn't break your skin. You'll be fine." Karela didn't respond. She wasn't worried about the pain. She was worried about the strange. Feeling her hand tingled, her chest felt tight. Her eyes kept going back to the prisoner's face. John, the quiet human who bit her without fear, in the holding cell. John sat alone. Two guards watched him carefully now. No more laughing, no more jokes. One guard whispered to the other. He bit her in front of everyone, and she didn't strike back. "That's not normal." "He's dangerous," the other guard replied. "But not just with his teeth." Back in the alien court, the elders argued. "This is an insult," shouted one old alien. "No human should touch royal blood. He must be punished," said another. But Corella's father, the Supreme Commander, was silent. His eyes were sharp, cold. Then he spoke. "Don't kill him yet." Everyone turned to him, shocked. "Why not?" The commander looked toward the healing chamber. "My daughter is acting strange." That night, Corella couldn't sleep. She tossed in her bed. Her skin burned. Not from fever, but from something inside her. She touched her hand again. The bite mark was gone, but she still felt it. Images ran through her mind. Earth, trees, rivers, a blue sky. She had never seen Earth. She had never breathed real air. So why were these memories so clear? And why did she want to see him again? Midnight, Corella walked quietly through the halls of the space station. She passed sleeping guards and locked doors. She reached the prisoner's cell. John was awake. He looked up. They didn't speak for a moment. Then Corella whispered, "What did you do to me?" John didn't move. His voice was quiet, calm. "I just bit you, like I warned." Corella stepped closer to the energy field that kept him inside. "There's something inside me now. I feel strange. Hot, I see things. I remember places I've never been." John tilted his head. He looked curious now, not angry. "What kind of things?" Corella shook her head. "I don't know, but they feel human." They stared at each other for a long time. Then she said softly, "Why didn't you fight me before? Why now?" "Oh." John leaned forward, his eyes serious. "Because poking doesn't hurt. But respect matters. I didn't want to bite you, but I had to show you something." Corella's face softened. "No one has ever stood up to me like that. Maybe no one dared." She smiled a little. Then she turned and left. But as she walked away, she touched her hand again. The bite was gone, but something new had started. The next morning, the alien scientist called for John. Corella watched from above as the guards took him to the lab. Her heart beat faster. Something was wrong in the lab. John was tied to a metal table. Machines scanned him. Lights blinked. Strange sounds filled the air. "He's not normal," one scientist said. "His blood is stronger than expected. His cells are healing fast." "Did the bite pass something to the girl?" Another asked. "We don't know, but we must study him more. Open his skin if we have to." John's eyes opened wide. His fists clenched. He knew what was coming, but he didn't scream. High above the lab, Corella made a choice. She had to stop them. The human may have bitten her. But now she felt something, a connection, and she wasn't going to let them cut him open. Corella stood frozen in front of the lab's glass wall. Below her, John lay on the cold metal table. His chest moved slowly. His arms were strapped down tight. Alien machines hovered above him, scanning his skin, his blood, his brain. She could hear the scientist talking. His cells are changing fast. No human heals like this. His blood carries something unknown. The bite may have activated a buried genetic code. Corella's eyes widened. A genetic code? She stepped back, heart racing. Her hand still tingled. Not with pain, but with energy. That bite didn't just mark her skin. It had touched something inside her. Something hidden that night. Corella locked herself in her room. She sat on the floor, breathing hard. Her reflection in the mirror looked different. Her skin glowed a little. Her veins pulsed with faint blue light, and then she saw it. A flash. A vision, her hands touching green grass, her feet standing. On a blue planet Earth, she gasped and fell backward. She had never been to Earth. She had never even seen grass in real life. But the memory felt real. And then a voice whispered in her mind. The connection has begun. Far away in his dark cell, John suddenly opened his eyes. He had seen it too. Her face a field. A memory that wasn't his but also wasn't hers. He sat up slowly. "What are you?" he whispered to the air. Back. In the alien council chamber, panic had begun. One scientist stood before the elders and shouted, "She's changing." Corella had fainted in the lab during more tests. When they scanned her, her body showed a new energy. "She's becoming something else," the scientist said. "Not fully alien, not fully human." The commander rose from his seat. This must be stopped. He gave the order. Kill the human before it spreads. Karela woke up in the medical pod. She heard the alarm. They were going to kill him. She jumped out of bed. No, she whispered. I won't let this happen. Something in her blood pushed her forward. She ran fast. Faster than ever. Guards tried to stop her. She waved her hand. Shockwave of blue energy knocked them aside. Everyone stared. She's using powers we've never seen, guard shouted. Karela didn't stop in the execution chamber. John was chained. A large machine powered up above him. Lights blinked red. Seconds before it fired, boom. The doors exploded. Open. Karela stepped in. Her silver hair flew wildly. Her eyes glowed bright blue. She raised her hand, the machine shut down. The guards froze. No. One moved. She looked at John, then turned to the commander. I am not your puppet. Anymore. John was freed. The station was in chaos. Karela led him through hidden tunnels. No one can see us together, she said. They'll kill you, and maybe me too. Why are you helping me? John asked. She stopped walking then. Turned to face him, because when you bit me, you woke something inside me. A truth. John's eyes narrowed. What truth? Karela touched her chest. I'm not just alien. Part of me is human. Asterisk, the space station was silent. Not because everything was combust, because everyone was watching. Watching her. Karela, daughter of the Supreme Commander. Once proud, cold, and untouchable. Now, she walked side by side with a human, a biting human. John and Karela hid deep in the cargo level. In an old storage bay full of broken ships, no guards came. This foreignly forgotten machines and shadows. John sat on a crate, rubbing his wrists where the chains had been. Karela paced back and forth, her hands glowing faint blue. They'll be looking for us, John said. Karela stopped. They already are. She stared at him. I broke 20 laws by saving you. John looked surprised. Why would you do that? She didn't answer at first, then softly said, because I remember your world, and I've never been there. Well, in the command chamber, the Supreme Commander was furious. She is infected, he said to the council. My daughter is no longer pure. She is bonded with the humans, said one elder. This could destroy the old bloodlines. Another added, what if others follow her? The commander slammed his fist on the table. I will bring her back, even if I have to break her. In the dark cargo bay, Karela sat beside John. She whispered, do you feel it too? John nodded. Every time I close my eyes, I see you, he said, but not here. Somewhere green, somewhere warm. Earth, she said softly. John looked at her carefully. How could you see Earth? Karela closed her eyes. My mother died when I was a child. I was told she was a warrior. She looked at him again. But I found her DNA records. She wasn't fully alien. John's heart skipped a beat. You're half human, Karela nodded. I never knew until your bite. That woke that part of me. Suddenly, a loud boom shook the walls. An explosion. They found us. John shouted, Karela, grabbed his hand. This way. They ran through the tunnels. Alien guards chased them, shouting orders. Karela turned and raised her hand. A blast of energy knocked 3 guards flying. John stopped. Where did you learn that? I didn't. It just came out of me. John smiled a little. Looks like biting you made you cooler. Karela rolled her eyes, but her cheeks turned slightly pink. They found a small control room and locked. The door behind them. For now, they were safe. Karela leaned against the wall, breathing hard. John looked at her, then said, you could have stayed safe. You could have let me die. She looked up, and Lou's the only person who ever looked at me without fear. He walked closer. I bit you. That's not really friendly. She gave a small smile. No, but it was honest. Their eyes met. There was silence. Then she whispered, do you trust me? John answered without thinking, yes. Outside, the Supreme Commander watched through cameras. He saw them standing close. Too close. His hand clenched. This has gone too far. Ow, he growled. She is not my daughter anymore. She is a traitor. He turned to his generals. Prepare the mind-wipe machine. Will erase the human from her memories. Back in the room, Corella suddenly felt pain in her head. She dropped to her knees. Corella. John rushed to her. She grabbed his shirt, her voice shaking. They're calling me, trying to control me. John held her tightly. Fight it. Her body shook. Her eyes flickered with light. Then she screamed. A pulse of energy blasted from her body, breaking the wall behind them. John covered her with his arms as debris fell. When the dust cleared, Corella lay still, but breathing. John held her close. They're not taking you, he whispered.
Not anymore.
Corella woke to darkness. Not the soft kind. This was the cold, silent dark of a lab cage. Her arms were strapped. Her body floated in thick, glowing green fluid. Tubes ran into her back and neck. Her mind screamed, but her mouth couldn't. Above, her glass separated her from the world. Behind that glass stood her father. The Supreme Commander John was in another cage. Metal walls, chains, bright lights in his eyes. He had tried to fight when they took her, but it was too many guards. Too many stun guns. Now he was on the floor, blood on his lip, breathing hard. 2 alien doctors stood over him. He infected her with something, one said. His bite triggered ancient genes. The other nodded. Half of her is not alien. That's why she's reacting. We can still save her, said the first, if we erase her memory of him. John's eyes flashed. For my dead body, he growled. In the chamber above, the commander spoke to Corella through the glass. You were mine once, he said coldly. You obeyed. You honored our blood. Corella floated weakly, but her eyes opened slowly. The glowing blue was returning to her pupils. I am still myself, she whispered. No, her father replied. You are broken, but I will fix you. He turned to the control panel. Erase everything. Start now. The memory erasure process began. Machines lit up. A red beam moved toward Corella's head. John's cage opened, not for rescue, but for execution. A guard entered holding a blade that hummed with energy. Any last words, human? John looked past him through the glass set. 'Cause single quotes or less. Her body was still, her head tilted back, her lips barely moved, but he understood. She was calling his name. Something inside him snapped. He roared. His body surged with strength he didn't know he had. He broke the chain on his wrist. Then the other. The guard swung his blade. John grabbed his arm and slammed him into the wall. The other guards ran in too. Late, John was faster now, stronger. He wasn't just a human anymore. He was something more. He burst into the control chamber, alarms screaming behind him. The commander turned just as John smashed the door. Stop. He rushed to Corella's pod, punched the emergency release. The glass broke. Green fluid spilled. She fell forward into his arms. She opened her eyes. John, he held her. You're okay. But behind them, the commander pulled out a weapon. You don't belong here, human. John turned slowly. Corella stepped in front of him, her body glowing. No, he does. A shock wave blasted from her hands. The commander flew back. Unconscious, John stared at her. You just... She smiled weakly. I guess your bite gave me more than memories. They ran together. Guards tried to block them, but Corella raised a shield of energy. John fought with new strength. They reached the ship. Hangar and old battlecruiser sat in the shadows. This one still works, she said. Good, John replied. Let's take it far from here. As the ship launched into space, the station lights behind them shrank. They were free, but both knew. This was just the beginning. Inside the ship, Corella looked out the window. Her voice was soft. You bit. Me and I became something else. John smiled beside her. You poked me. And I became dangerous. They both laughed. A strange, peaceful laugh in the middle of chaos. Then she reached for his hand. Let's find out who we really are. Together they flew into the stars. Asterisk, the stars flew past their ship like glowing dust in the dark. Corella sat in the pilot seat, eyes scanning the galaxy map. John sat beside her, arms crossed, watching her work. His bruises were healing faster now. Strength was growing more than human. They had no plan, no home. Only one thing mattered. Don't go back. Suddenly, red light blinked on the console. Warning. Engine overload. The ship shook. Smoke burst from under the floor. We're losing power, Corella shouted. John jumped up. Can we land somewhere? Corella looked at the map. One planet nearby. No name, no records. It's hidden. Then we take our chances. The ship broke through the planet's clouds, spiraling like a falling star. The engines screamed. Wind roared. Trees rushed up fast. Crash. When the smoke cleared, ship was tilted in a forest of tall blue trees. John pulled Corella from the wreck. She was coughing, but alive. They looked around. The sky was purple. The air was warm. Strange plants glowed softly underfoot, but what caught their eyes were the ruins. Ancient stone towers, statues of humans and aliens, standing side by side. Corella stepped closer. This can't be real. John touched a cracked wall. This place was built by both our kinds. She nodded slowly. Thousands of years ago, maybe longer, and she whispered, maybe we were never enemies. They explored deeper into the ruins. Carvings told a story. A woman with alien eyes and a human man stood together, surrounded by light. They bonded, Corella said. It's just like us. John asked, then what happened? She pointed to a carving of a battle towers burning, ships falling. They were separated by force. Night came. They found shelter in an old stone room with half a roof. A fire burned in the middle. Corella sat close, hugging her knees. John looked at her. Do you think we were meant to meet? She didn't answer at first. Then she said, You bit me because I mocked you, but I'm glad you did. He raised an eyebrow. Really? She smiled faintly. You made me feel human. Suddenly, the wind outside shifted. Both stood up. A dark shape moved between the trees. Not alien, not human, but something else. John reached for a metal rod. Corella's hands glowed, ready. The creature stepped into the fur. Tall, thin eyes. Glowing white, but it didn't attack. It spoke slowly. You have awakened the bond again. Corella stepped forward. Who are you? I am the Guardian. I watched this world die when love between kinds was forbidden. John tightened his grip. Why are we here? Because your bond is rare, powerful, dangerous, and now it has returned. The Guardian looked at Corella. Your blood remembers. Your powers are awakening. Then he looked at John. And you. You carry the key. The fire flickered. The wind died. The Guardian stepped back into the trees, but before fading, said one last thing. If you survive the final test, this world will belong to both of you. And he vanished. Corella and John sat in silence. Neither spoke, but they knew. They weren't just running anymore. They were part of something older, deeper, something that could change to galaxies. The sky over the nameless planet turned. Red dot ships were coming. Alien warships. Hundreds of them. The same ones that once ruled Corella's people. The same ones that had chained John. And now, they had come to destroy the bond that should never have been. John stood on the cliff's edge, looking up. Corella stood beside him. They tracked us, she whispered. No, John said. They tracked you. They want you back under their control. Corella's eyes flashed. Let them try. They returned to the ancient ruins.ca. Corella touched the glowing stones. Energy sparked beneath her fingers. John saw carvings on the wall moving like they were alive. The woman in the stone raised her hand. A crown of light formed above her. Corella gasped. She was a queen. The voice of the Guardian echoed from behind them. She was a bonded one. She bowed before the human. The galaxy followed her. Corella turned to John slowly. Her heart pounded above them. The alien fleet prepared to strike. The commander stepped onto his main ship's platform. Fire at them both, he ordered. My daughter is gone. Only a traitor remains. Corella. And John stood in the center of the ruins. Their bodies glowing, hers blue, his gold. The Guardian raised a hand. Now the test begins. The sky split. Energy beams rained down. John raised his arms. Corella joined him there. Powers combined formed a massive shield over the ruins. The blasts bounced off like water on stone. The alien fleet was confused. How is this possible? The commander shouted. Then Corella stepped forward. She floated into the sky. John stood below, arms out, his strength feeding into her. The ships aimed again, but this time, Corella raised both hands and spoke in a voice that shook the heavens. I am not your daughter anymore. I am not your weapon. I am bonded. And with that, she bowed in the air too. John, silence. All ships paused. Every alien on every deck watched as their once proud royal girl bent her knee not to her father, but to a human, to the one she once mocked, to the one she once poked down. Below, John raised his hand slowly. A pulse of light shot into the sky. Every warship's power died in seconds. Engines stopped. Weapons shut down. The fleet drifted helpless in orbit. The Guardian appeared one final time. You have passed the test, he said. Through pain, through pride, through the bite and the bond. He looked at them both. This planet is yours now. More than that, so is peace. Later, the ships returned to their homeward. No punishment, just silence. And change. Corella and John stood in the middle of the ruins. The plants grew greener. Now birds returned. The air was warm and soft. Corella smiled. Do you remember when I poked you? John chuckled. Do you remember when I bit you? Walked close, her voice playful. Do you regret it? Shook his head. Not even a little. She leaned in and whispered, next time, maybe I'll bite you. They both laughed. Two hearts, one alien, one human. Bonded by power, bound. By choice, feared by empires, but free at last.